In today's show, we look at Wednesday's action across the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. We're going to talk about the action today. I am in a bit of a time crunch, but I am going to attempt to get through all 11 games today. Fingers crossed we get there. We should get there. And talk about what we need to talk about. Of course, there is a show that's already been released that profiles streaming for Thursday and then talks about the Thursday-Friday streaming. There's a show earlier today which talks about rest of the week planning. We're looking at the Thursday-Saturday combination in particular, as well as a bunch of waiver wire options you can have. Remember, Thursday, Saturday are your two main waiver wire days left after today's action. So look at those teams that play, the Sixers, the Hawks, the Bucks, that play on those. There's more details in those other shows that I've done already. But they're the ones that we're really looking for. The Cavs have that combination as well. So we'll talk about the Cavs a little bit later on when we talk about their game. But let's, actually, Warnie.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
Steph Curry is going to be re-evaluated on Friday. That might sound good. I don't know that it is. And I'll tell you why that is. Okay, re-evaluation, that's fine. Re-evaluation generally doesn't mean, right, you're back the next day. They play a Saturday, Sunday back-to-back, so at best you get one from Curry this week, and I think there's almost no chance. He's doing no on-court work at all. All he is doing is work in the pool and work in the weight room. 3 days out from allegedly playing a game, Saturday, Sunday, I don't think there's any way. You might get him back for one game on the final weekend of the season, would be my guess. I think you might get maybe one or two regular season games, max two for Steph. I don't think he plays at all across the weekend, and maybe not even to begin next week would be my guess. Reevaluation Friday, maybe he's ready to go. I would be entirely surprised if we got a game from Steph this weekend. Remember, reevaluation does not mean return, and he's not doing any work that's not in the pool or in the weight room. He's not doing any running or on-court sort of stuff. If you're doing work in the pool, that means it's because you need to move without doing weight-bearing stuff. So that gives me a little bit of worry about where it heads from here. So I wouldn't be expecting this news to trigger you to think that Steph is coming back straight after Friday. I wouldn't have that expectation. Or actually, I don't have that expectation. Evan Mobley also out the next few games. He's out through Saturday. So he missed today's game. He'll miss Friday's game. He'll miss Thursday's game. He'll miss Saturday's game. He might miss Sunday. So he's out at least these next two after today. We saw the C-parter, Moses Brown, start. Played like 21 minutes. The numbers were okay. I guess you can stream him, especially because Thursday, Saturday are the low-volume games. Maybe Mobley's back on Sunday. But again, there's 12 games on Sunday. He's missing these 3 days. If this is your championship week, you have to drop him. Don't actually care that if he could come back on Sunday, you're going to have someone else to replace him. Drop him. I don't think there's any point in holding on to Evan Mobley if him missing these 2 vital days where you need to get other people in. We'll talk about Kevin Love and the rest of the Cavs in a second. In fact, that might be a decent enough cue for me to head across and talk about that right now. Because the Dallas Mavericks, they played the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they get the win in the end, 120-112. Good win for Dallas, who's playing really well at the moment. Doncic was amazing, 38 minutes, 35, 9, 13, a steal, 2 blocks. He's putting up just gigantic numbers. That's 71 fantasy points for the Donch. He's cranking his way into the top 12 for category league value. And Dorian Finney-Smith, who'd been really struggling, dropped a big 28-point bomb. 6 triples, a block, 63%. He'd been bad prior to this, but the role was there, and I think he is worth having. Powell had 15 and 5. Some strong games from Dwight, top 100 player over the last 2 weeks. He probably is a 12-teamer. And Reggie Bullock, the inconsistencies continue. At least he hit 3 threes, but 9, 4, and 3 is frustrating. There was no Spencer Dinwiddie resting on a second game of back-to-back, which he hadn't been doing. That is a little worrying, as I detailed in one of the shows earlier today. The fact that he struggled for 2 games and then had to sit, it's a bit of a concern. Brunson played 39. He had 18, 5, and 6. If it wasn't for the bad free throw shooting, it would have been a pretty strong night from the burner. While Maxi Kleber hit 2 threes, had a steal and a block, and that's what you want Maxi Kleber to do. Unfortunately, he just doesn't do that consistently enough for us to care too much about it. For the Cavs, Garland, at least he didn't play 40 minutes in this one. 25, 5, and 10. 4 threes and 4 steals, and he actually shot the ball well. 59%. Yeah, he'd been struggling in that area. While LeVert, a big blow-up for him eventually. 43 fantasy points, 38 minutes, 32, 6, and 4 with 3 threes. And with this big game, LeVert is the 225th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. That just goes to show you how poorly he'd been playing prior to this game. The minutes in the role are there. He's just been struggling so much. The schedule maintained that we had to hold him, and this was good. Lamar Stevens, 26 minutes, 16 points. Not much else there from Lamar, but he is a decent wing option who can score efficiently. Again, the schedule works to try it out. You could say the schedule works for Isaac Okoro, but he has actually zero ability to ramp up his production. 2 points. He did have 5 assists and a steal and 2 blocks, and that's useful. 2 more usable games this week. That's fine. By no means is he a must roster. Put him in the Lamar Stevens area as to how often or how happy you are to put him into a 12-team roster, but that's it. While the C-parter, 12 and 9, again, it's a bit blue ballsy. It looks great. No assists, no steals, and no blocks. Shout out Marvin Bagley. He also was 100% from the field, which is great, and then 50% from the line, which is not. He's going to hurt your free throws. He should block some shots, but he only played 21 minutes. I don't mind the stream of him. If they're going to start him, he's a streamer. But don't expect big things. While Love struggled, 8 points in 26 minutes. I do think Kevin Love is going to play these back-to-backs. He has played back-to-backs this season. No indication that he will be sitting tomorrow or sitting on the Saturday-Sunday back-to-back. That could change, but at this stage, there's no indication of that. NBA Top Shot, though, is something there is an indication of, and you need to know all about it. It's the officially licensed NFT of the NBA. Connect with a passionate community of NBA fans around the globe and build your collection with your favorite moments from NBA history. NBA Top Shot is the future of what being an NBA fan looks like. It's part trading card, part stock market, part fantasy sports, also with a built-in loyalty program. NBA Top Shot has evolved trading cards, and it's made it easier to buy, sell, and trade without the hassle of card grading, shoeboxes, and binders. Yeah, people will say often, I hear it, why would I want to buy a highlight that I can just go watch on YouTube for free? Well, it's not just about watching the highlight. It's about investing and having an ownership stake in the stock market of the NBA's greatest moments. Go and check out Top Shot. Sign up right now and get a starter pack. It's like $9. And you might pull a moment from LeBron or KD or Devin Booker or Giannis or Embiid or Jokic or Cade or Evan Mobley or Scotty Barnes. So head over to lockedon.nbatopshot.com to start building your collection today. The Magic. You knew they were going to lose this one. There was no way they were going to give this one up. Against the Washington Wizards, the Wizards win at 127-110. For the Magic, it was a really, really strong game from Markelle Fultz. 21 minutes, 19, 3 and 7, 3 steals and 2 blocks. It's a huge game. There's no doubt that. And now, including that game, he's 160th over the last 2 weeks. Again, like Karis LeVert, it shows how poor the numbers were prior to today. It looks like he's going to be limited to around 20, 21 minutes the rest of the season. As an assist streamer, absolutely not a problem at all. Anytime you get 3 steals and 2 blocks in 21 minutes, consider it fluky. And do not consider it as anything reliable. And even that scoring on that usage with that efficiency, really hard to tie all that in 21 minutes. So this is great. No doubting that. Stream Markelle Fultz in, but don't sucker yourself into thinking this is real. It is real that Mo Bamba looks like he's going to play just low minutes every game. 22 minutes, 10 and 5, 2 threes. Maybe it's a drop. Probably is, to be honest. And Chuma Okeke continues to struggle. 6 points in 30 minutes with 8 rebounds. Numbers that what he's doing, they're not good at all. Still stream value for defensive stats, but man, he's just not, I don't know, nothing's really going his way. Big game from Franz Wagner. 28 points on 20 shots. He's been really good this year, obviously. I worry about what his overall end game upside is, but Good numbers here, just a little bit lacking towards the back end of that box score with 2 assists, 0 steals, and a block. And RJ Hampton, no offense to the kid, he might be... I know plenty of people have held this title through a year. Shout out to Trey Lyles. Shout out to Precious Achiuwa. But he might be the worst rotation player in the NBA right at this moment, RJ Hampton. Definitely the worst starter, I would think. Actually, non-Portland division. Probably the worst non-OKC division. Probably the worst starter in the NBA. 7 points in 27 minutes with 1 rebound and 2 assists. He can't do anything. I don't know where his NBA future lies. For the Wizards, Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, this is crazy to me. Back-to-backs, end of season, 35 and 8, 3 threes, 2 blocks. I was convinced that he wasn't going to play. And here he is. Big numbers, huge. Dan Gafford also went off, 17 and 7 with 3 blocks. This does not mean you need to roster Dan Gafford in 12-team leagues. He's a 17 to 20-minute-a-night guy while Porzingis plays. And last 2 weeks, 17 minutes a night, 183rd. It's not must roster. Hachimura. If I'm going to shit on Rui Hachimura, which I'm not going to today, but if I'm going to do it in the past, which I have, justifiably so, not shit on him as a bloke, good bloke. As a prospect and NBA player, no worries. Today, I thought he was much better. 17 and 7, 1 3, 2 blocks, 3 assists. Good. Some peripherals. Really good. And with Kuzma still out, there is at least points league value in Rui. You want to see the weirdest double-double you've ever seen? Satoransky. Well, not you maybe seen one as weird. Satoransky had no stats, no points, no threes, no assists, no steals, but 10 rebounds and 13 assists. One of the stupidest looking box scores you will ever see. But we talked about Satoransky. We stream him in for assists. You got him. Now, I think you can usually stream him for steals. We didn't get anything here. But this is what he does. And same with Ish Smith. 7 assists for him. Don't worry about the other shit. If you're looking for assists, these two guys have value. Avdia, not his best, 8, 8, and 5. Or Kispert. The one thing about Corey Kispert is a shooter. Okay, but maybe he's not. Maybe he's actually not a good shooter. Maybe he will develop it. Actually, let's rephrase that. Maybe he will develop into a good shooter. He sure isn't one right now. And yeah, I didn't like the draft pick at the time. It hasn't really worked out. He's getting a lot of minutes. Sometimes there's some decent games. I wouldn't say that he is anything close to like a must roster player though. Let's go to the next game. I don't know what happened in this one. The Nuggets were just cruising. Then all of a sudden the Pacers tied it up and got the lead. The Nuggets do end up winning 125-118, but it was a lot bloody closer than it should have been. Big Chungus played 36 minutes. He had 37, 13, and 9 with 2 steals and a block and continues to look at that true shooting. True shooting of 82. What? And something good happened in this game. Bones Highland played 27. 20 points, 7 assists, 2 triples, a steal, and a block. You know I have been calling for Bones Highland to be a big featured rotation piece all season. I don't have Michael Malone's direct phone number yet, so I couldn't tell him that. It happened here, but remember 2 games ago, he played like 15 minutes, the big stiffy. If you're basing it off talent and what makes sense for the team, Bones should play over Monty Morris, over Austin Rivers, maybe at times over Will Barton. It just hasn't happened. Today it did. Equal minutes with Monty Morris, who had 11, 3, and 4. Austin Rivers got ejected on the worst ejection call, one of the worst you'll ever see. Absolutely disgraceful call. But Bones, we love it. We love the upside. We love the value. But how do we trust Malone? That's the tough thing. I don't know if we can. Will Barton's minutes are up 18, 4, and 5. He's putting up some good numbers at the moment, while Aaron Gordon had 10, 8, and 4. And he was great last game, Gordon, and this is back to Aaron Gordon. 10, 8, and 4. Just shit numbers that don't get you excited really at all. And for a bloke who can be as an exciting as a player as he is, he doesn't really produce it fantasy-wise. The Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, 15, 5, and 12, 4 steals and a block. Back on track the last 2 games, but how about my boy, the Dart, Goga Badadze?
Problem with my Go-Go-Mobile. Go-Go-Mobile? No, not the Dart. Not the Dart.
Maybe it was the Dart, though, because he was great. Again, 17 and 10, 2 threes, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. Now, he didn't shoot well. He's top 50 player over the last 2 weeks. And I know I bang you guys over the head about this, but Goga Badadze is 22 years old. And this debate happens so often when Turner went down. It's like, they've got to prioritize Jackson, mate. They just got to. Goga's finished. It's 2 years difference. And they did, obviously, start Jackson over Badadze. But I think what that was a little bit of a Goga erasure. And I just wanted to say erasure, really. Because I think he's still got upside. I don't think it's on this team, but I think he's an NBA starter. Budrick Hield had 20 points, 5 triples. And Juz Anderson, he's all right. 13, 3 and 3 with 3 steals. Now, as long as Brogdon remains resting.
I'm not tired.
And as long as Chris Duarte's little piggies are sore, then Anderson's going to have some value. They've dropped Jalen Smith off. Watch that. They're giving the Red Rooster Terry Taylor more minutes. 21 for Smitty, 36 for Terry. Terry had 18 and 9 with 2 steals and a block. I don't fully trust it. 16 teams, sure. 14, maybe. 12, fringy. I would be happy to drop old mate Jalen, though, in 12s. With Dwayne Washington back, Kiefer Sykes dropped back to 15 minutes. That's not really that much of a surprise. It's something we did also talk about in maybe yesterday's show. I think it was yesterday's show. I don't remember. We talked about it last time the Pacers played anyway. But I'm here to talk to you now about BetOnline because it's months of done and college basketball's here. We have made it through to the Final Four and it will determine this year's national championship next week. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info from all the latest odds, contests, and player props. You name it. They've got all those college basketball odds out there. You can go North Carolina or Duke. You can look at Villanova, Kansas. They've also got matchup set for the championship game. Whichever combination it is, they've got odds out there for a Villanova, North Carolina game. They've got Villanova favored. You got Duke, Villanova. Duke's favored. Duke is favored over Villanova. Kansas is favored over North Carolina in that hypothetical matchup, and Duke is favored over Kansas by a point. You can check that all out over at BetOnline. But it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Let's go to the next one. The Hornets beat the Knicks 125-114 is your final score. LaMelo Ball did it again, 20 and 5, 15 assists and 3 steals. 15th ranked player this season. He's been putting on some really, really good numbers of late. Miles Bridges as well, 31, 6 and 3 with 4 threes. And even Kelly Oubre got in on the act. 24 minutes, 21 points, 5 triples, 4 assists. That brings him to the 255th ranked player over the last 2 weeks, in case you were keeping track at home. 73% shooting for Oubre. Don't buy into it, please. I hate that I have to talk about him, but don't buy into it. Montrezl Harrell, 8 points in 19, drop him, while Plumlee had 6 and 4. And Rozier's in a real slump at the moment, 15, 5 and 4. Doesn't look terrible on the surface, but 31% shooting. He only hit 1 3. He's 78th over the last 2 weeks. He's had some real hot streaks, but he is starting to fall away a little bit at an inopportune time. Terry Washington. PJ Washington had 11 and 6 in his 34 minutes, but backed it up with defensive stats, and he always seems to be able to do that. 1 steal and 2 blocks for Peach. Only played Isaiah Thomas 4 minutes. That was to give Kelly Oubre more minutes, apparently. For the Knicks, Fournier was ruled out for personal reasons. Then he played, so that's cool. 35 minutes, 30 points, 6 triples. All right, we obviously can't rely upon Evan Fournier to do that. This is a great game, but we know the ups and downs of him. Playing Alec Burks 41 minutes it's criminal. It's a ridiculous decision from a ridiculous head coach. It's great if you've got Burksy, 12 and 5. Was he out there playing well? Fuck no. He shot 27%. But old mate Captain Comeover can't help himself. This is great for us in fantasy. Roll Burks out there. We know the minutes are coming. It's not like you've got Emmanuel Quickley or Miles McBride who you could try to give some minutes to. 9 minutes for McBride here. Quickley with 23. Oh, by the way, Quickley had 16 points on 50% shooting in that time. It's frustrating. Quickly, he's still a hold, but he is limited by the old coach. Mitchie Robinson, 6 and 10. And Obi Toppin, I think you can safely drop him.
I don't want to hear any more about Obi-Wan.
You probably won't hear any more for a while. Julius Randle, 21, 4 and 7, booed during starting lineup introductions. Went about pissing them off as much as possible by missing a lot of shots from the line and from the field, as is his wont. The 282nd ranked player over the last 2 weeks, Randle has annoyed the shit out of me and many other fantasy managers. RJ Barrett had 25, 4 and 3 in 38 minutes. Relatively solid percentage night. He's really started to stabilize over the last little bit of time. The next one is the Heat. The Celtics. Miami gets the win. 106-98, the final score. The Winter Soldier Max Strus. 14 points, 4 threes, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Started again in place of Duncan Robinson, and I expect that will continue for Strus. Good numbers. Is he a 12-team guy? Probably not. Can he be at least a 14-team option? Sure. Lowry had 23 with 8 assists and 6 triples. He's picking it up. And Adebayo 17, 12, and 8. Well, Jim Butler looks good again on the surface, 24 points, but 2 assists, 1 steal, subpar from the line. What you need Butler to do is give you good assists, good steals, and great free throws. And he failed on all 3 of those counts here, which has led to, again, some disappointing numbers. Hero struggled 12, 10, and 5. The 10 rebounds is a surprise to be sure. But the 36% shooting is a little bit annoying. Well, Dunk Robinson, please, no, why is anybody rostering him? He had 5 points with a 3, picked up early fouls. He played 15 minutes. That contract's not looking particularly good, is it? I remember when that contract happened, I was like, oh, that's gross. And then I was talking, shooting's really important. I went, oh, man, you know what? It's only $17 million a year for 5 years. Maybe it's not too bad. No, it is. It's bad. He looks really terrible, and I don't know how they're going to unload it. We'll see what happens. For the Celtics, Rock DJ's out, of course, so they did start as I expected. Grant Williams started. He didn't do anything. 4 and 3 in 29 minutes. He's not really a 12-team guy. Don't get seduced by Daniel Tice, because you'll look at it and go, 15 points, let's go. I knew he was the option. He's not. He played 17 minutes and shot perfectly, 100%. He had 15, 1, and 0. What you've got to look at is the role. Backup, center, minutes only. 17 minutes, that is it. There is no need for Daniel Tice to be a 12-team league player. Horford had 6 and 15 with 4 assists. Jalen had 28, 10, and 6 assists. Shot a little bit poorly, but not bad. And then Tatum, 23, 5, and 6, and Smart, 10, 5, and 8. Well, Maximum Derek, yeah, don't know about that.
Maximum Derek.
A lot of people have got him still in 12 teams. I don't really think that's necessary. 9, 2, and 3, 32 minutes. Yes, the minutes are way up with Rob Williams out. Shit schedule. Friday, Sunday they play. This sort of middling bullshit, I'm not really sure it's worth holding onto him, to be honest. I'd rather get someone who plays Thursday, Saturday, and has got a chance at a better role than what he is currently providing. This next game was an ass-kicking. The Toronto Raptors beat the Wolves 125-102. The final score wasn't really close at any particular time. The last 3 Wolves games have all been blowouts, very interestingly. And it's keeping Patrick Beverley's minutes down. 23 minutes, 10, 2, and 3. The 2 prior to that, he played 30 minutes in a row. And then these next 3 games, like 23 minutes, all 20-point plus blowouts, either one way or the other. Is he a must-hold? I mean, they've got 2 stinking games left on schedule-wise. If you want to drop, go ahead. I think D'Angelo Russell you've got to consider as well. 28 minutes, 13, 4, and 3 on 20%. He's the 281st ranked player over the last 2 weeks. You've probably got 2 games left in the season, and they're on bad nights. You might want to drop. If your league goes into the next week, God help you, but you probably hold. Goose had 24 and 8 with 4 assists, and Towns had 16 and 10 with 2 steals and a block, and Vanderbilt was all right. 10 and 7, a steal and a block. Obviously still not a must roster, especially with this schedule, but not a bad game. And McLaughlin played 27 and had 5 assists with a steal and a block. Geordie is an interesting assists option because they can be pretty hard to find. For the Raps, some very interesting things. I talked about this on pre-game show today. Said Gary Trent's been shithouse. Right, really putting up some bad games, but look at his history. It's like, great game, huge game, shit, great game, shit, great game, shit. That's how it goes. He did 2 shits in a row and then drops 29 points on 69% shooting in 29 minutes.
Giggity.
Now, there's jack shit else there. 2 rebounds, 0 assists, steals, and blocks. Shout out to Marvin Bagley. But this was the hot shooting off from Gaz. And then he go back and shoot 34% next game probably. Another interesting wrinkle, Scott Barnes was benched at halftime. They started the 5 non-centers. At halftime, Barnes went to the bench and Achua started. Barnesy played 25 minutes. Now, the numbers are good. 17, 5, and 4, a steal and a block, 78%. But since they've been starting these non-center lineups, the numbers haven't been particularly in that favor of that group. So Nurse made a change at halftime. Don't drop Barnes, but keep it in mind. Achua, 22 minutes, 13 and 4. And we talked about cautioning adding on Thad Young, 10 points in 17 minutes. Very hard to find enough minutes when there are 4 centers active. Same for Boucher. Drop him. He had 6 and 8 in 22 minutes on 18%. I don't think it's worth holding. And the big tree, Ken Birch, played only 5 minutes. I'm not sure that Birch is going to be a player who plays most nights. Good game from Anunoby, 22, 5, and 3. People are very quick to discount OG Anunoby. Very quick. I saw someone post something. His first 2 games back have been okay. Yeah, we know he's very limited ceiling, so should I drop him for the rest of the season? Does anybody, not anybody, because I know a lot of you do. I feel like there are a lot of people, though, who just pay no attention to what OG Anunoby does. I am pretty sure, let me have a look. He's the 62nd ranked player this season. And I think his ceiling's actually higher than that. I don't know. 12, 10, and 3 for Siakam. Good that he played 40 minutes in a blowout. Nurse, if he gets injured, my guy. Van Vliet, 32. His knees are rooted. Like, they are rooted. He still had 12, 3, and 8 with 5 steals and a block. That's sick. He just cannot hit any shots at all. Can't get anything going with his knees. They are absolutely cooked. And I feel like this happened last year where he had a string of like 32% shooting nights all in a row. Probably because his knees were cooked. Wouldn't be surprised if that was the case there at all. The Kings pull out the loss out of the jaws of victory by beating the Rockets 121-118. Damian Jones, here we go. 24, 9 and 5, 1 steal and 4 blocks. This is what I was talking about. Same goes with Davion Mitchell when saying, yes, the Kings have shit schedules and they're on low quality days, high volume days. When you got guys like this, it doesn't matter. They're guys that you add because they will be like your 7th or 8th best player. Interestingly, all the players that sort of fell into that category, and I was less interested in Lyles, to be fair. They all scored 24 points. 24, 9 and 5 for Jonesy, 24, 7 and 3 with a steal and a block and 4 triples for Lyles, and 24, 5 and 8 with a steal and a block for Mitchell. Even the big Ragu, 8 and 8, 2 threes, 2 steals and a block. Big numbers from these blokes. I think you got to have them. Even if it is shitty schedules. They're good enough to take the place of your 8th or 9th best player in your lineup. Easy. Jeremy Lamb and Alex Len and Josh Jackson were all ruled out before the game. So, of course, they all played. Lamb had 12 and 7 in 24 minutes, while the pencil Harrison Barnes struggled his way through to 13 minutes. Sorry, Barnesy. And I was so flustered by forgetting to play the sound then that I said he played 13 minutes. He, in fact, scored 13 points in 35 minutes. Justin Holiday played 10 minutes, missed all 4 of his shots, and that was it. Thanks, Alvin. Just don't play him at all, maybe. For the Rockets, of course, Christian Wood is done for the year. Eric Gordon's done for the year. Dennis Schroeder is done for the year. So it's time for Alperen Şengün, the delicate dancer. Wait, I'm just hearing that he was also out. What a fucking pain in the ass that is. So they started the big fella Usman Garuba, and he was all right. I think he's going to be a player, but he's not going to be a big fantasy contributor. 8 and 7 in 26 minutes. I wouldn't bother adding him. Oh, yeah, don't add Gary Bird. What did he have? A 3-week patch of playing well? He's been dreadful basically in the entire 2022 portion of this season. 3 points on 5 shots. Jalen Green, he's really looking good. 30 and 2, 6 triples. And even your mate, cousin Kevin Porter, first career triple-double, 30 and 12, 12 assists, 4 threes. Shot the ball well. You can't expect it, but he did it. Big Bruno played 22 minutes as well as the backup center, Bruno Fernando, 17 and 10. I don't think Şengün's going to miss more time, but I don't know that at this point. And that would limit what Bruno can do. Just keep that name in mind. While KJ had 11 and 6 in 24 minutes in the Wild thing. Jayshawn Tate.
Even the Wild thing's gone well. I can't do much about that.
7 and 6. I don't think there's any point in holding on to Tate in 12-team formats. The Hawks, they smashed the Thunder. No surprise. 136-118. Trey had 41, 2 and 8. Vanderpants had 20 points, 4 triples and 3 steals. That's Kevin Huerter on 80%, 12-team guy. There was no Gallinari or Jalen Johnson in this one. Bogdanovic, 20 points as well with 2 steals and 3 assists in just 22 minutes. No one needed to play extended minutes here. Capella, only 20 minutes, 4 and 11, while Okongwu played 28 and had 3 and 13. Unfortunately, he was very inefficient and didn't block shots. This was the time to really rack up those numbers. But he is still a streamer with their Thursday-Saturday schedule. Hunter had 19 and 5, not much else, which is true DeAndre Hunter style. And how about Kevin Knox? 17 points in 18 minutes. That's what happens when you play the Thunder, though. Do not get excited about Kevin Knox, for the love of God. I love it. Absolutely love it. Get ready for it. It is the incantation.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Oh, yeah. Olivier Sarr. 26 minutes, 17 and 9 with a block. Shot well. Do I trust it? Fuck, of course I don't. Oh, why would I? It's Olivier Sarr. Same as looking at Lindy Waters, who no doubted his way to 25 points with 7 triples. He will put up the shots. Some nights he'll go 1 of 9 and have 4 points. And some nights he'll do this. I wouldn't get comfortable relying upon him. Much like we can't get comfortable relying upon Aaron Wiggins, whose minutes are there, 13 and 4, but that's what we talked about last game, is that he'll have these big games and he disappears. And even Roby had 14 and 9 and just sunk both your percentages. And Poku, he's going to kill your field goals. 13, 4, and 8 with 4 threes. I still think Poku and Roby are 12-team guys. So is Teo Maladon, who had 18, 4, and 8. Whereas Waters and Sarr are just your deeper league players, and Wiggins is more of a 14-team fringe guy, I think. But some big numbers coming from a bunch of spuds, because that's who all they've got. Trey Mann was out again. I don't think he returns this week. It's a hamstring. They trying other blokes out. Actually, you know who you need to look at? Vic Krejci. If Mann is out, he's just solid. 9, 5, and 5 with 2 steals. Now, 10% shooting is what they would call disgraceful, but everything else is all right. I'm not anti in a 14-team league. I'm not against Vit as a 12-team league option at this point. Let's go to the next game. What is it? It is the Memphis Grizzlies getting the win over the Spurs, 112-111. Tyus Jones, 36 minutes, 25, 5 and 6, 2 steals and 5 threes. An obvious must roster with Jar out. Bano, 16, 3 and 3. Not great, but still fine. While DeAnthony Melton had another solid game. But I don't know where the defense has gone for him. No steals and blocks again, but 16 points with 4 threes. Adams had 8 and 8. And Jaren, not great. 2 blocks, that's fine. 5 assists out of the blue. But only 9 points, only 25 minutes. Disappointing night for Jaren. I hope his thigh is okay. Dylan Brooks, 21, 6 and 4, 53%. Sick, awesome. Love that he did it. And then shoots 1 of 4 from the line to go and torpedo that category. So that just one of those another annoying things that he does. While Kyle Anderson moved back to the bench, played 23 minutes and had 4, 3 and 4 with 3 steals. So good steals from Kyle. Good assists. If you want assists and steals, he's a solid enough streamer, but the minutes and upside aren't really there unless there are some injuries. While Brandon Clark had 10 and 4 and 17. Pretty hard to look at Clarkie as a 12-team league option, I think. For the Spurs, Murray, 38 minutes, 33, 13 and 3 with 6 triples. 6 triples for DeJounte Murray. He's been unbelievable. Keldon Johnson, also playing well. 23, 7, 4. High volume, not that efficient, but good numbers. And Devin Vassell, good scoring, but not much else. 19, 1 and 1 with 3 threes. He's very up and down. He's fine to have, but I think Joshie Richardson might be more worthwhile. 9, 3 and 5 with 5 steals and 2 threes. That's really useful for Richo, who's a top 70 player over the last 2 weeks. Primo only played 15 minutes and Lonnie Walker only played 14 in his return.
Hello.
So it does look like Richardson and Vassell are going to have significantly more value than what Primo and Walker do. Trey Jones only the 8, 1 and 1 in 17 minutes, while Pirtle had 9, 7 and 5. Very, very far away from his best performance. All right, let's do the next one. It is the New Orleans Pelicans. Something's happened to my chair. It's all stiff. I don't know what's going on with it. Anyway, that's weird. I've got to figure that out. I couldn't actually solve the mystery, but my chair's gotten as stiff as what my back feels at times. So I don't really know what's going on there. Anyway, we're here to talk about the Pelicans game. They ended up beating the Portland Trailblazers 117-107. They probably made it a lot tighter than they needed to. Ingram just 28 minutes, so still on that restriction. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists and a steal. He was great from the line. 11 and 13. He's obviously really strong there. While Valanciunas, 19-11 with 4 steals, 35 minutes. Remember, he was questionable heading into this game. And then Jackson Hayes, only 22 minutes, but a big game. 18, 3, 2 blocks, 67%. He's very borderline to hold because their games now come Friday, Sunday. High volume games, but this is obviously a really good night. I just find it hard to trust that. Jose Alvarado, there's no better steals guy out there. He had 4 of them, but only 15 minutes, while Jones had 4 steals as well. Shot poorly, but that's what those guys are there for, to get defensive stats. McCollum had 25 points. Sure, great. 56% shooting. Great. Unfortunately, 4 of 8 from the line. That's a real killer. And no defensive stats at all. While Trey Murphy played 23 minutes. Always good to see Trey getting some extra playing time there. For the Blazers, Eubanks wasn't quite where he was last game, but still really bloody good. 21 and 9 with a 1-1, obvious must roster player. While Brandon Williams had 10 points, but he did have 10 assists. Still hurting your field goals there. And Greggy Brown started. What he normally brings is good defensive stats. He just had 1 block. He's not really much more than a stream. While Keon Johnson stunk, 7, 2 and 4. And Chris Dunn had 8 assists and 2 steals. So we're back to Dunn being an assist and steal streamer. There's going to be so much unreliability from this team, though. Eubanks is probably the only guy you can rely on. And then there is a little bit there with maybe Brandon Williams. But really, it just feels like Eubanks at this point and really nobody else who's going to be reliable enough. The other guys you can stream in and out, but it's going to be a real crapshoot. Now, I mentioned at the start of the show that I might have to leave a bit early, and I'm getting to that point. This last game's going down to the wire, but there's not really much happening fantasy-wise. So The current score sits at 98-96 with a minute left for the old Phoenix Suns there. But so Phoenix have been great. I know that. I just want to look at the fantasy value here. Bridges was great. At the moment, he's at 21-6-2. Ayton's had 16-17. Chris Paul not at his best, but 11-3-8, and Booker 25-2. So some good numbers there. Crowder struggled, but had 3 steals and a block. We probably do still hold him while Cam Johnson's out. But again, they've got a bad schedule. They play Friday, Sunday. So maybe it's not worth it. Maybe you're better off dropping him to get someone in on a Thursday and on a Saturday there. Off the bench, Campaign didn't do anything. Shamet, not much. And Bismack Biyombo replacing McGee because of his illness. Not really much too excited about there. If you wanted to know, my chair is fixed, by the way. For the Warriors, Draymond copped a bit of a whack late, but 30 minutes is encouraging. There is a back-to-back on the weekend, so we worry, but blocks, which had been absent since he came back, he had 6, 10, and 7, 2 steals and 3 blocks. That's one of the most Draymond Green lines you will see. Wiggins was also much better, 19 points. While Looney started over Kuminga, he didn't really do much. It was still Otto Porter getting those minutes, but he disappointed. 5.6 rebounds here with a minute to go. Gaz Payton didn't do much. And honestly, only 5 minutes for Kuminga. There's not really any sort of fantasy takeaways out of this game. Moses Moody not a part of the rotation. Not really much to chat about here with that game at all. And because I'm not going to do the awards, I need to get out of here. Hopefully that was everything that we needed to know for today. Don't forget there'll be a mailbag show tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. Check me out over there on YouTube. Guys, follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. If you are here on YouTube, thumb it up and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.